Hello and welcome to Afro Adventure Music Reviews. Today we're reviewing X by Ron Weasley. Oh, wait a minute. No, we're not. Just kidding. What we're actually going to be reviewing is Multiply by Ed Sheeran. This album came out June 20th of 2014. Some chart information about it: peaked number 1 on the OCC UK Albums chart and number 1 on the US Billboard 200. It was released on the labels Asylum and Atlantic, and the singles are Sing, Don't, Thinking Out Loud, Bloodstream, and Photograph. So without further ado, let's get this started. So this is Ed Sheeran's second LP, and after this album was released, it's like his popularity just skyrocketed into oblivion. Before this album, I had actually never heard of him, but now everyone, literally everyone, is talking about him, and he's getting constant radio airplay. So what's up? What's the big deal with Ed Sheeran? Well, I'm going to tell you what the big deal is with Ed Sheeran right now. Multiply is an album that apparently picks up where his previous album, Plus, left off. Surprisingly, this album was full of way more than I was expecting. Of course, it's not fair to assume that all artists will talk about on their albums is heartbreak, but I couldn't help but think that the majority of this album was going to be sad, sappy heartbreak songs. I was absolutely wrong. This album goes into deep detail about Ed's life, his relationships with not only his past girlfriends, but his family, as well as various problems he has, such as drinking and drug use. Most of this album consists of R&B and pop songs that mix country with soul for a great acoustic rock feel, but there's also a bit of hip-hop thrown in as well. I'm serious. Ed Sheeran is actually pretty great at rapping. I wouldn't call him a rapper, and he even dismisses the idea of being a rapper in the song Take It Back, which is mostly all rapping, but he has a great flow, I must admit. Now, while I said that not every song on here is about breakups and stuff like that, a good chunk of them are. Most of them deal with how Ed became famous and he was touring so much that the relationship just couldn't stand. Or how the girl decided to find someone else and Ed can't let go of her no matter what. They're your typical breakup songs, but they're executed well enough to not become monotonous, and usually a song with a different topic is thrown in between each one, so that's always good. One of my favorite tracks on this LP was Sing, which was produced by Pharrell Williams and actually has him shouting the "Sing" and "louder" bits on the track, although that goes uncredited. That brings me to the production value, and for what it's worth, it's pretty tight on this LP. I felt the production fit the atmosphere of the album completely. On the track Bloodstream, Ed is talking about his experiences taking ecstasy and how he basically lost control of his mind. He didn't know who he was, but he felt the chemicals of the drug going into his bloodstream. On a lot of other tracks, he talks a great deal about his drinking, clearly explaining that he has a bit of an alcoholic problem. It's usually to drown out his problems and heartbreak, a typical reason for drinking a lot, but these portions of the album show that he lives a bit of an unhealthy lifestyle at times, both physically and emotionally. The track Runaway shows that his home life isn't very great either, especially when it comes to the relationship between him and his father, which is the main point of the song. He's talking about how his dad doesn't put any effort into caring for his son, and even though deep down Ed really loves his father, he has no choice but to run away from home. The song says that his dad drinks a lot as well, so perhaps he gets it from his father. What's ironic is that he's talking about sinning, referring to the drinking red wine and having sex before marriage, which are sins according to the Roman Catholic religion, but claims that both his mother and his father are the same way in the song regarding to drinking, so clearly upholding religious values wasn't as strong in his household as one would like to believe. Some more irony for you is that in this song he mentions how he's never seen his father cry, but in the song Even My Dad Does Sometimes, he mentions that as strong as his dad is, even he cries sometimes. The song is all about staying strong, and along with Amy Wage, the song was written for a friend of hers that had cancer, and how it's alright to cry but to never give up. Very emotional indeed. Thinking Out Loud is definitely the biggest single of the album, and probably one of the few songs in this LP with a happier message. It asks the question of will he and his lover still feel the same way about each other even when they're old and can't get around like they used to. On the flip side, one of the saddest songs is A Fire Love, which is about how Ed never really knew his grandfather before he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease and passed away, and now he can only know him through the stories from his family members that knew him. Now, let's talk about the hip-hop aspect of this album. The idea of rapping starts on the track Nina, where he's mostly rhyming on pitch, and which is mostly how he's rapping on this album. But the beat very much caters to a more hip-hop style, similar to an Eminem beat when he's doing one of his more moody songs. The man is pure hip-hop though. The snare, the piano, and even his voice isn't just rhyming on pitch anymore. Last but certainly not least is Take It Back, which I mentioned earlier on. And while he's clearly rapping, all the song is him rapping and playing guitar, nothing else. I guess you could call it acoustic rap or something like that. Overall, this album makes you feel all kinds of ways. It's very well crafted and speaks about many different subjects as opposed to taking the easy way out and making each song about heartbreak. I didn't mention this in the main review, but the final song on the album is called I See Fire, and you're not going to believe this, but it's actually about The Hobbit and makes references to the desolation of Smaug. I'm not kidding. Apparently he saw the film and just had to go to the studio and write a song about how he felt regarding the film, and this is the result: a somber, dark, melodic song about how destructive the dragon Smaug is, and how if everyone else is going to suffer from his wrath, then so is he, and he won't leave anyone behind. It doesn't so much wrap up the album like one would want, and it almost kind of seems silly, mostly random, but somehow, some way, it fits right in with the rest of the album. I wouldn't put it last, but I have, no say in that, of course. I feel like A Fire Love would have been a better final track. The ending is so gorgeous, and after talking about something so sad, it ends in a very positive, encouraging way with beautiful choral singing in the background. I did enjoy this album a lot. The track placement for the most part was great, not so much near the end though. The album never felt boring or slow at all. It never felt like it dragged, and it really shows how great of a singer-songwriter Ed Sheeran is. If you haven't already, I would definitely recommend picking up the deluxe version of this album. Anyways, thank you for joining me on this another album review. If you like this video, please take a second to like and subscribe. It really helps. Also, I take album review and song review requests. Just leave a comment down below or hit me up on my Facebook and Twitter. The links are in the description if you want a song or an album that you like to be reviewed. And that is all. So, this is the Afro Avenger. I will see you next time.